Welcome back to the King's Corner, the place for all things Bethesda. I am the KingFanMan. Today we are going to dive into the Sheepsquatch questline, Lying Lowe. But this is a warning, this is a full spoiler review and guide. So if you do not want to know what's out there, bail out right now. Not only are we going to see what is in this questline, we're also going to preview what may be coming from Bethesda with the Sheepsquatch. So if you're ready, buckle up, we're going to hunt us some Sheepsquatch. The questline Lying Lowe and the mystery of the Sheepsquatch starts out with a poster, a simple poster that talks about the Sheepsquatch eating someone's brother. And this is the mystery trail that we are going to follow throughout this questline. Is there such a beast as the Sheepsquatch? And did it really murder someone and really consume them? The quest activates by reading the poster, and you are directed to go to Lowe Taxidermy in Lewisburg. Once you make it to Lewisburg and the taxidermy, you find a holotape from the missing man's sister. And she is very adamant that there is no such thing as a Sheepsquatch. This tells us right off the bat that this mystery is going to be a little bit strange, with maybe a twist or two as we go through this quest line. You do at least learn from the sister that Calvin was obsessed with the Sheepsquatch, and he was determined to find a Sheepsquatch in the world. Calvin believed in the Sheepsquatch and wanted to find one, and his life had been obsessed with it. And she was determined that that had something to do with his disappearance. You do get to find out a little bit about Calvin's history or backstory from the computer upstairs in the taxidermy shop. Calvin was a member of the Truth Seekers, which was a cryptid hunting team. So again, Calvin's life was obsessed with finding the Sheepsquatch. Now, just to give you a little information on the Sheepsquatch, Lewisburg is located in the part of West Virginia where the Sheepsquatch sightings are the most frequent, in and around Boone and Mason counties in West Virginia. Greenbrier County, where Lewisburg is located, is the third highest county for Sheepsquatch sightings. So even in real life, this is the area where people are obsessed with the Sheepsquatch, and Calvin was one of those people, even having a club and meetings to try to find out about the Sheepsquatch. This literally was his life's passion. Once you find Calvin's secret code and get into the secret parts of his computer, you find something very interesting. On March 25th, he hears of a rumor of a white animal matching the description of the Sheepsquatch, and he is so excited. He believes he finally has all of his beliefs vindicated. However, in October of that same year, he is devastated. He hasn't heard anything for months, and he has come to the realization that the Sheepsquatch may not be real. In fact, these are his very words written on the computer. Stop it. It's been months. It's not real. Why do I have to keep reminding myself? What is wrong with me? And then the very next entry is on July the 2nd. So it's gone almost a whole other year with no other sightings. And he says, I have to stop. It's not real. I have to tell the guys, meaning the guys in the Truth Seekers, I cannot do this anymore. It's not real. I cannot keep doing this to myself. It's not real. I have to study. Now, one thing that most do not know, he is going to Vault Tech University, which is why he's not been meeting with the Truth Seekers as much, because he has started going to school. And he ends this by saying, I cannot let this control my life. It is not real. So Calvin has come to a point where he's got to do something. He's got his old life, the Truth Seekers, that are eagerly wanting to find the Sheepsquatch. And it's been over a year where he hasn't found anything, even though he's looking exhaustively. And he knows deep down that it's not real, but he does not want to tell the guys that it's not real. He needs to do schoolwork. So what's he going to do? Is he going to accept the fact that the Sheepsquatch is not real and tell the guys to stop looking? Is he going to keep hoping that maybe it is real and keep looking? Or is he going to go to other extreme measures? That question may be answered in the very next post on the computer. It is dated September the 18th, 2077. That is 5 years later. It says witnesses reported something unusual wandering around Lewisburg shortly after 11 p.m. So now we have a creature, something unusual, in Lewisburg, which of course is where Calvin lives, and this is 5 years. Now this is not Calvin doing it, this is a report in Lewisburg by other people. The next post on the computer is October the 4th, 2077. 1 month after that report says a creature spotted by witnesses wandering around the hills near Uncanny Caverns. So now we have a creature spotted just 1 month after that first sighting. But here's where the mystery thickens. October the 6th, there is a message on the computer that reads, after the last attempt, it is clear I'm going to need better resources to pull this off. Need to stay focused. Remember what's important. And the last message, meet Bo Peep at Bastion Park for a demonstration. Don't be late. So wow, what a mystery. What demonstration? And what does this have to do with the Sheepsquatch sightings? You follow this computer lead to Bastion Park, and at Bastion Park you find several clues, but there is one clue that is most interesting. And most people just pass it by, but let me read it to you and give you some backstory on it, and I think you might find it very, very interesting. You find a note that is called Bo Peep Mission Notes, and I'll just read it to you. Calvin, sorry Black Sheep's last effort didn't pan out either, so it's this or nothing. I'm starting to wonder why I plugged so hard for this guy. If this meet doesn't yield results, I'm done and he's done. And I mean done in a very unpleasant sense. First, it should be obvious they're talking about Calvin, and when they say done in an unpleasant way, they're meaning if it don't work out, they're going to take care of Calvin in a very unpleasant way. But the note gets even more interesting on the other side. Wolf's at the end of his rope. The psych eval, or psych evaluation, he showed me was disturbing. If I'd seen it before, would I still have pushed for this project? What project is he talking about? Still have pushed to be his handler? How did Calvin even get clearance to work at a place like Bishi? No, this is no time to second guess yourself. Social engineering is one thing, but this is another. It's all science. Calvin can do science. I know he can. Well, there's a lot to unwrap in this note, but let's just take it one piece at a time. First of all, it should be obvious that Calvin is dealing with more than one person, and he's dealing with some very powerful people. And he is working for a company called Bishi. Who is Bishi? Bishi is an energy company that goes all the way back to Point Lookout. They were drilling for natural gas at Point Lookout, but they are an energy company, which is very interesting. So Calvin was going to Vault-Tec University. He got him a job at Bishi, which is an energy company. This group of people, we don't know who they're working for yet, contacted him for this project, this special project. He had to give a psych eval, which was very disturbing, to be able to work on this project, to be a handler for something. What is he handling? What is he the handler for? Well, I think you already know, but we're going to see very soon. But that's only part of the story, as you're going to see in just a little bit. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see his psych eval, you get to see it at the very next stop if you're looking hard enough. And it's not very pretty. The patient Calvin Van Lowe, aka Black Sheep, exhibits a disassociative view of the social world. His mental acuity and cognitive skills are extremely high. However, his ability to associate context with the stimuli is fractured at best. Patient exhibits mood swings indicative of non-functional interpersonal relationships and attachments to the contextualized world around him. Wow, yeah, this project was doomed to fail. Following the clues here in Berkeley and at Bastion Park, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what happened at this point. We might be able to deduce later on, but whoever is in charge sent someone to oversee Calvin just a little bit. Codename Bo Peep was to look after Black Sheep, which was Calvin. But something happened to Bo Peep at Bastion Park, and she was killed. Now, did Calvin have her killed by what or who he was handling? Was it an accident? We don't know at this point. All we know is Bo Peep is not checking in with the people in charge, codename Wolf, and there was a dead body found at Bastion Park by the detectives. Even the police began to investigate Calvin. Maybe it was for the murder of Bo Peep, maybe it was for what was going on around Lewisburg, whatever, maybe for both. Whatever, the police were closing in on Calvin, and Wolf, or the higher-ups, were getting more and more upset with Calvin. So things were not looking good for Calvin at all at this point. So the quest line sends you back to Lewisburg looking for a dead drop in a police unit, because again, the police had been investigating Calvin. After following some final clues in Lewisburg, you make it back to the taxidermy and find a secret door in the basement. And as you walk into the secret door, there is a trail of blood that is very noticeable on the floor. But as your eyes come up, you see something that is so familiar to all of us who played Fallout 4. It is a robot workbench. What is a robot workbench doing, number one, in Fallout 76, but doing in this quest line? And then your mind starts working. A robot workbench. And as you turn the corner, you see an assaultron on a stand. And then you see on the wall schematics for an assaultron Sheepsquatch. Calvin has been a part of handling a robot Sheepsquatch. Very interesting. It's all starting to make sense. His obsession of finding the Sheepsquatch. His not wanting to tell the group he was the perfect one, other than his mental evaluation. He was the perfect one to be picked for this project because he believed so strongly in the Sheepsquatch. So he was picked to be the handler of the imposter, the Assaultron Sheepsquatch. Okay, so we learned some very interesting things in this basement. We now know that at least the Sheepsquatch we're looking for right now is a robot, an Assaultron. We'll talk about other Sheepsquatches. Sheepsquatches? Yeah, Sheepsquatches at the end of this video. And I do believe there may be some other Sheepsquatches on the way. But again, we'll talk about that at the end of the video. We learned for a fact that the Sheepsquatch did eat Calvin. Well, it killed him anyway. We hear on a holotape the actual death of Calvin. And if you want to hear it, you can come to the basement and hear it for yourself. Calvin was trying to reprogram this Sheepsquatch when it occurred. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment as well. We also learned that this is not the first robot Sheepsquatch. It is at least the second robot Sheepsquatch, The first one was not adequate. This second one is a much more powerful, with stealth and more abilities than the first one had. And we also learn that Calvin has either sold or lost his taxidermy business to the Bishi business. Remember the company that he works for, the energy company? Yeah, you find a note in this basement that says the taxidermy shop is now owned by the Bishi company. One question we are kind of left with at this point: was Calvin reprogramming this Assaultron on his own accord for his own purposes, or was he doing it by order of the Big Bad Wolf of the Bishi company? We do learn in the computer terminal down here in the basement that he received several threats from the wolf, several threats upon his life. So it is very possible that he was reprogramming this Sheepsquatch, possibly to go after the Big Bad Wolf. But again, that's just a possibility, but a very good possibility. We do know that Calvin had gone rogue. He was not meeting with the Big Bad Wolf anymore, and Bo Peep had been killed, either on accident or because Calvin had reprogrammed the Sheepsquatch. And the note that showed that the taxidermy was now owned by the Bishi company was ripped, maybe in anger by Calvin, so the clues kind of look like Calvin was upset with the Bishi company and was going after them, or was going to try to go after them with the Sheepsquatch that he was handling for them. So now we know that Calvin is truly dead, and we know that the Sheepsquatch is an Assaultron. So what's left of the mystery? Well, now we have to hunt down the Sheepsquatch itself. We have been given a card that is a recall card for the Assaultron, and we've been given the place to go that calls the Assaultron back. So now all we have to do is assemble the troops, because we have been told that this is a very, very strong and powerful creature. And boy, were we told right. To battle the Sheepsquatch properly, there are 3 pylons that have to be held by 3 people, and you have to be a human conduit. To do this, your health will continually go down, so you better pack a bunch of stim packs with you. When 3 people do this, it causes the shielding around the Sheepsquatch to go down so that he is vulnerable to attack. But even when vulnerable to attack, he is still a very, very bad dude. He is not just a normal Assaultron. In my opinion, this is the hardest battle in Fallout 76 to date. And it's according to how many people you have and how skilled they are. You're going to have a lot of people going down. Be prepared again with a lot of stim packs and a lot of ammo as well. You will burn through the ammo in this one as well. But I find it very, very fun and exciting. And by the way, you can repeat this. This is an event that has a 3-hour respawn. You can recall him, but you have to have another card. The card only works one time, and you can buy another card from vendors, and it is very high priced. Just a tip here: if you can find Graham, the super mutant, he has the cheapest card, so that is a good tip. But most of the cards are over 2,000 caps, so just a little warning to get you prepared. As far as my review goes of this quest line, and I want to make this very clear, it's according to what you put into it, how good this quest line is. I really enjoyed the twist of it being a robot, but that's because I took the time to invest in the story beforehand. If you buzz through this without really taking time to get into the story, reading the notes, listening to the holotapes, number one, the content's not going to last very long, and number two, you're really not going to get much of the story as well. It's a really well written story and really good content if you slow down and get into it. So I really enjoyed the story, really well crafted idea. It ties back into point lookout in older Fallouts. That's always a plus for me. And I love being surprised. I love having the twist, even though I, of course, wanted a real Sheepsquatch, but they do hint at a real Sheepsquatch, as I've told you before. Number one, this Sheepsquatch is called the Imposter Sheepsquatch. We also have little things throughout this quest line that point to a real Sheepsquatch as well, like there were sightings of a Sheepsquatch before all of this started. And Bethesda keeps hinting at things, like we still have things that go off. If you have workshops now, you will still have things come up that say Sheepsquatch horde attacking. Now, I believe they're doing that on purpose. I don't believe that's a mistake or a glitch. I believe that's absolutely on purpose. And there's one other thing. There are taxidermy heads that are still not unlocked, and there's no way to get them unlocked. So I believe there is more content coming to this quest line. So with all of that combined, yes, I do believe there is a real Sheepsquatch coming very, very soon. And by the way, let me add one more thing. If you didn't know, there are some side quests to this mission which are very good. I believe there are 4 that you can find up on the bulletin board in his office, and you do unlock some of the taxidermy heads by doing these side missions, and they are very enjoyable as well. So I give this quest line very high marks, and if there's a real Sheepsquatch coming, then this quest line gets marks off the chart, because that would just be absolutely fabulous to add that on top of this. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the Sheepsquatch Lying Lowe quest line. Please check all my links down below. If you have any questions or any thoughts, please leave them down in the comments as well. I hope to see you out in the waste of West Virginia as always. If you want to play with me, send me a message. I am on PlayStation, Xbox, and the PC, so I would love to get together with you anytime. I am the KingFanMan. I will see you soon.